Good morning, everyone. As chairman of the commission, I would like to welcome you to the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission Town Hall meeting today at 10:02 a.m. Today is a live virtual town hall meeting where no business is being conducted. This Zoom webinar is live streamed on YouTube on the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission YouTube channel. For anyone in the public watching who would prefer to watch via a different platform than they are currently using, please visit our social media at Redistricting MI. Our live stream today does include closed captioning. Closed captioning, ASL interpretation, as well as Spanish, Arabic, and Bengali translation services will be provided for effective participation in today's meeting. Please email us at redistricting@michigan.gov for additional viewing options or details on accessing language translation services for this meeting. People with disabilities needing other specific accommodations should also contact that same email, redistricting@michigan.gov. This meeting is being recorded and will be available at www.michigan.gov/micrc for viewing at a later date. It is also being transcribed, and those closed caption transcripts will be made available and posted on the website www.michigan.gov/micrc, along with written public comment submissions. There's also a public comment portal that may be accessed by visiting www.michigan.gov/micrc. Members of the media who have questions before, during, or after today's town hall should direct those questions to Edward Woods III, Executive Director of the Commission at woodse3@michigan.gov. For the purpose of today's town hall meeting, I'll turn it over to Executive Director Woods.
Thank you, Commissioner Eade. Are you able to see my screen?
We can.
Great. Welcome and thank you again for joining us today. The town hall meeting is all about the public and making sure the public has an opportunity to engage with the commission as it continues its process to select a final state Senate remedial plan. The purpose is to educate the public of the 12 maps being considered by the commission. As you know, we have 6 collaborative maps and 6 individual maps that are up for consideration. We want to share how the maps comply with the court order and the 7 ranked redistricting criteria. And most importantly, we want to answer questions and obtain public feedback on all 12 maps. So once again, we want to thank you for engaging with us, knowing that we will be here from 10 to 1, and then again this evening from 5 to 7:30 p.m. Please tell your neighbors, your friends, your family, your neighborhood, your community, all of those associated as it relates to these particular maps to join us at a time of their convenience. Once again, today from 10 to 1 or 5 to 7:30 p.m. And also note that we will be here next week on Thursday, June 6th at the same times, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 5 to 7:30 p.m. We look forward to engaging with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. So as you just heard, the commission has forwarded 12 maps to the court for public consideration. These include 6 collaborative maps and 6 individual maps. The collaborative maps are Cardinal, Crane, Dove, Finch, Heron, and Starling. And the individual maps submitted by commissioners are from Commissioners Juanita Curry, Brittany Kellum, Rhonda Lang, Cynthia Orton, Rebecca Zatella, and Aaron Wagner. We have requests from commissioners to present at designated times because of different appointments today, and we will try to accommodate those commissioners' schedules. With that said, would anybody like to go first? Commissioner Lang.
I'd be happy to go first on my map.
Wonderful. We do have Mr. Morgan here with us from EDS.
Yes, hello.
Hope you're doing well today.
Yep. So Commissioner Lang, you want me to bring your map up? I'll share my screen for that.
Yes, please.
And I'll just make a couple of quick color adjustments on the map here between 2 and 6 and maybe 8 and 11.
Okay.
Okay, so in this case, I'm focusing on the maps. We do have other metrics and things that we can show if you call for those.
Okay. So I think I want to first start out with a brief rundown of it fits into the map itself is VRA compliant. There are 4 VRA districts, which would be 1, 3, 6, and 7. It does meet the partisan fairness analysis and is in compliance for that. One thing that the public or commissioners might notice is there was a slight change to District 1. With the first running of VRA, it did not show as District 1 being a performing district. So I made minor adjustments, which included adding Melvindale to District 2, which we did hear a lot about community of interest and asked that Melvindale be put with District 2. So that was added. And then I pulled some population, you will see above District 2 into District 1 to make up for that population that was put into District 2. That's a quick rundown of that. On the map itself, you'll see District 12 was kept the same. This was a lakeshore community of interest that the public talked about. District 9 was kept the same. That was also, we received public comment about that and trying to keep that the same. District 7 was initially drawn. I was trying to incorporate the Jewish population into a district of their own, which then when we ran the VRA, I have to admit, I was a little surprised that this is also a VRA performing district. Livonia was made whole in this map. This map did start out being a collaborative map. District 10, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe was a change that was made by Commissioner Eid in one of the maps. What else can I say? When you look at the Detroit area, I tried to use roads as a guideline and keep neighborhoods whole. So you're going to see that there are 3 districts that are primarily all contained within the Detroit area for the most part, other than 6 does extend out a little bit, but that had to be that way for population reasons. District 1 started out doing the downriver community of interest. Again, I had to make some changes, minor changes in order to make it VRA compliant. So there is a little bit of change for those districts. District 3 keeps together your Highland Park, your Hamtramck, and Bengali Town. Bangla Town, pardon me. Pretty much that's the rundown. I mean, I can tell the public and the commissioners that this was drawn blind. This was drawn blind to politics. It was drawn blind to race. I did not use any maps that were submitted, so there would not be any conflicts with people that are running for office or that are in office. This was all done strictly by me. And that's pretty much it. If anybody has any questions, I don't know if anybody wants to see the VRA analysis or any of the other stuff that is available online. So does the commission itself have questions about the map?
Any questions for Commissioner Lang, commissioners, or any other comments about this proposal? Commissioner Lang, I do not see any.
Perfect. Then I'm going to let the next person go.
All right. Any other volunteers? If not, then we can just proceed in alphabetical order. Let's bring up Cardinal. And I believe Commissioner Weiss, you're speaking about this map.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Chairman Ead and myself will comment on the Cardinal map. John, if you could bring that up, please.
Okay. Okay, and again, let me just get a couple different colors on the screen here for 6, 2, and 11.
Sure.
Okay, so here's the Detroit area.
All right, there are 4 VRA compliant districts, District 7, 8, 3, and 1. What I find, this is to me, one of the most interesting maps that we did, because we took and created Senate districts using the House districts to pretty much put 3 of them together and in a Senate district, obviously accounting for population, obviously would be a little over. They have the districts are all drawn that way, that were subbed in, so there was not too much changed on the other districts. So Chairman Ead, anything you want to comment on, please?
So yeah, this one also has 4 VRA districts. Those being 1, 3, 8, and 7. The partisan fairness numbers are for the lopsided margins test, 3.6%. For mean median difference, 2.6%. Efficiency gap, 0.8%. And a seats to votes ratio of 22 to 16. 5% in favor of Dems on this one. As Commissioner Weiss said, for the Detroit area districts, we tried to combine the districts from the Motown Sound House map, and the suburbs are from collaborative maps that were done prior to that. So you can see District 1 goes from the downriver area up through Detroit, including Hamtramck and Highland Park. District 2 has the Arab American community of interest consisting of Dearborn Heights, Melvindale, Allen Park, Lincoln Park, and a little bit of Warrendale. District 3. District 3 approximates some of the Motown Sound House districts, combining some of the areas just north of 8 Mile, like Ferndale, Royal Oak Township, and Oak Park, with the north and northwest portions of Detroit. In District 4, Romulus is split, but Taylor is whole. It also includes that Sumter Van Buren community that we heard about. 5 includes Canton, Westland, Inkster, Romulus, and Plymouth. 6 then includes Canton, Redford, and the rest of Plymouth, as well as Redford being, I'm sorry, not Redford, Northville, crossing the county boundary and being back whole there. 7 has some of the more distinct Oakland County townships, Southfield, Royal Oak, Berkeley, going into a little portion of Detroit. 8 is a east side of Detroit, Warren Center District, along with East Point. It has those areas of Morningside, East English Village together, going up through Centerline and Warren, also including East Point. 9 is a little different from the original configuration of 9 that was in the Linden map. It is Pontiac, Rochester Hills, going south into Birmingham. 10 includes Troy, Sterling Heights, and Madison Heights. Whereas 11 is another Macomb County Center district, including parts of Warren and parts of Macomb. 12 here was not changed from the original Linden map. And 13 has Farmington and Farmington Hills no longer being split up, combining it with West Bloomfield and the Lakes, as well as Novi. And I do not believe there are any changes to 23 or 24 on this version. I think that about covers it for this one. Does anyone have any comments about this map, commissioners? Commissioner Zatello?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out a couple of things that kind of aren't my favorite thing about this map. As you mentioned, it does sort of try to replicate the Motown sound. And I think the problem with that is we've been hearing from people that they aren't happy with some of the things we did in the Motown sound. For example, as you mentioned, Romulus is split. That's something that we've had people from Romulus come and complain about. They want to be kept whole and kept with Van Buren, Belleville, Huron, and Sumter. So that splits that community. It also splits the Native American community of interest in Westland pretty much right down the middle. So I think that's problematic. I think 2 is good. I think that District 2 is pretty much replicated in most of our maps. And 1 is very similar as well. My bigger concern is with 6, where we have this portion of West Detroit, pretty small portion, sort of in a district that's stretching out all the way to Northville. And I think that really kind of replicates some of the problems we had in the Linden map, where you have these wealthy, primarily white suburban communities, such as Northville, combined with West Detroit. It's just hard to justify how there's any community of interest there between those two groups. We have similar configurations in several of our maps where we're sort of what I would call dipping our toes in Detroit. So District 7 kind of dips a bit into Detroit, but is mostly a northern Northern District, north of 8 Mile, I should say. Same thing with District 8, where it's kind of dipping into Detroit and then taking mostly Warren and West Point. My personal preferences for the structure that Commissioner Curry created for Detroit, where they're more Detroit centric and less kind of reaching out into other communities. If we could scroll up a little bit, John. So another concern I have with this map is we've separated Pontiac from Southfield, and we did receive public comment from people in Pontiac saying that they wanted to preserve that kind of original structure that we had where Pontiac was combined with Southfield, and this actually splits that. We also had prior public comments from the last round about wanting to keep Troy and Rochester Hills together because there is a Sikh, which is Indian, Asian Pacific Islander community of interest between those two communities, and they wanted to be kept together. In the original District 9 we had, it did keep Troy, Rochester Hills, and the western portion of Sterling Heights together to preserve both the Chaldean community and also that Sikh community. And then that kind of dropped down for Madison Heights. I just think it's kind of odd. I think that was done for partisan fairness purposes, but I know we received many public comments about wanting Clawson to be with Troy, but not Madison Heights. So I just think that's sort of a strange little appendage hanging down there, which I just think, again, it's kind of hard to justify. And yeah, I think that's it. So in general, I just think there's kind of some concerns with this map, and we have some better options out there.
Commissioner Orton.
Yeah, I'm wondering, is this I thought we were just going to present the maps with the facts and then hear from the public. Is this a pick apart the maps we don't like session, or stand up for the maps we like session, or what exactly are we doing here?
That is a valid point. I thought it was the former, but if people want to chime in, I think that's okay too. But the purpose is to present the maps to the public in order to get feedback on them. Commissioner Villette.
I agree. I thought this was just to present the maps. Commissioner Weiss, he did that. He presented this map. That doesn't mean it was a map that it was his favorite. He just did one. I think we'll see all of Commissioners Zatella's map. When we look at her map, we'll see what she liked. She doesn't like this map. That's her prerogative. But I think that we should just let the people present the maps, let the people make their decisions, make them make their comments. I really don't think we need us to tear apart the map and say everything that we don't like about it at this time. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Zatella.
Yeah, I think part of presenting the maps to the public is promoting the pros and the cons. I mean, you went over everything that you thought was a pro. I raised issues that I think are potential cons with this. I think particularly for the public who may not be as intimately familiar with the different communities of interest that we've been presented with, the different testimony we've heard, I think that's helpful for them to hear what I have to say about what potential concerns are with the map. And then they can actually make an informed decision. They may hear what I say and say, yeah, I don't agree, or I agree or disagree. It doesn't matter. But the point is, if we're presenting the maps, I think it's fair game to say what you like and what you don't like. Because otherwise you're not giving the public a full and fair opportunity to really evaluate things.
Commissioner Villette.
I think the public is more intelligent than you're giving them credit for. I think that they can look at the map and they can make their decisions and decide. Like I said, they will see what you like, how you did your maps. They will see what you think is a better plan. I think that this time is just to present the maps.
Commissioner Weiss.
Just a quick thought. I wonder, John, if we should maybe take an overlay of the Motown sound and put it on there to show how the rep districts looks in comparison to the Senate districts?
Okay, I can do that.
Thank you.
Okay, so the House districts are in red. So if you want to look at, say, District 1 as a quick example, this red outline is House District 1 from the Motown Sound. This red outline is House District 7, and this red outline is House District 9. So roughly those three districts were combined to create Senate District 1.
Okay. Does that help, Commissioner Weiss?
Yes, I just thought maybe it might be interesting to see how the districts look in comparison, putting in them in the Senate districts and how they shaped up. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, let's move on to the next map. Commissioner Zatella.
So how are we handling the individual maps? I think people who have individual maps to just present first if they want to.
You broke up there. Can you repeat your statement?
Sorry. Are people with individual maps being given the choice to present them first? Because I know Commissioner Lang went.
I asked for volunteers. So if an individual commissioner wants to, they're more than welcome to, whenever.
Yeah, can I just go ahead and do my map now, please?
Sure.
Okay, I'll bring that up. And again, I'll just take a moment to change the colors on a couple districts. Okay, Commissioner Zatella.
Yeah, so this map is actually based off Commissioner Juanita Curry's Detroit area map. I did make a few changes to her District 1, 3, and 8. It does have 4 VRA districts. According to our VRA analysis, the partisan fairness is in line with the partisan fairness of the remaining
Sorry,
plans.
Commissioner Zatella, can you just speak just a little bit more slowly for the ASL interpreter? Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Had too much caffeine this morning, apparently. So this is based off of Commissioner Juanita Curry's map for the Detroit area. I did make some adjustments to her Detroit-centric districts. For District 1, I put Southgate into District 4. And then if you look up for District 3, I wanted to bring Ferndale into Detroit because we had received many comments about that LGBTQ community of interest between Ferndale and the Palmer Park area of Detroit. That was public comment F3493. And so I wanted to preserve that, and that required me to take a little bit from 3 and put it into 1 to kind of accommodate that population. So we have the 3 Detroit-centric districts, 1, 3, and 8. 8 is combined with Redford as well, which is a border community. District 2 preserves that Middle Eastern, North African community of interest with Dearborn, Dearborn Heights, and Melvindale kept together, along with a portion of Detroit that's the Warrendale community as well. District 4 keeps Romulus, Van Buren, Huron, and Sumter together in a single district. So that was something that was requested by those communities. And so they are all together in kind of a downriver, more rural district. If we could pull up a little bit. So this map has a little bit of a different configuration for 5 and 6. In other maps, we have them stacked on top of each other. This is just taking them straight north. So 5 includes Plymouth and Canton, which share a school district, Northville and Novi, and then Wixom. And then District 6 keeps Livonia intact, along with Westland, Garden City, Inkster, and Wayne. That also, by virtue of doing that, preserves that Native American community of interest that I mentioned before. I did have to take a little bit from Farmington Hills for population to balance that out. But otherwise, Farmington and Farmington Hills are intact. We can scroll up a little bit. I did keep most of the original District 7 from the Linden map. So we have Pontiac together with Southfield. I also added in Oak Park and a portion of, I believe, Huntington Woods to preserve that Jewish community of interest, that Orthodox Jewish community of interest. We had received a community of interest file over, that's number C1803, just for the record. District 9 is mostly intact from what the original district was. It does bring Birmingham over into 9, but it keeps Troy and portions of the East Sterling Heights together, or I'm sorry, West Sterling Heights together to preserve that Chaldean community. It also keeps Troy and Rochester Hills together to preserve that Sikh AAPI community of interest that we had received comments about as well. In terms of 11, we received public comments from the one commentator about the secondary Chaldean community of interest being Sterling Heights, Fraser, and Roseville. So I was trying to create a district that sort of accomplished that as well. And then that Lakeshore district, District 12, that we received a lot of public comments about, is still the same, with it wrapping all the way around to Harson's Island and all the way down to the Grosse Points. And I think that's it. Oh, I also should mention in general with the districts in general, District 3, I was trying to keep the Bengali community together. That was communities of interest P1206, C6211, and P4107. District 1 also preserves the Latinx community, which is C2453. Dexter Linwood neighborhood is also kept together. That was another request we received, along with Rosedale Park, Middick Park, and Grandmont 1 and 2, which was W9474. Morningside, East English Village, Cornerstone are also kept together. That's community of interest C826. And again, the Arabic community of interest was C1510. The Native American community of interest that was submitted by Meredith Kennedy is 5527 for the Westland portion of that. She also submitted a separate one for downriver, which overlaps in most parts with the Latino community of interest, and that one is P5531.
Thank you, Commissioner Zatello. Commissioner Lang?
Commissioner Zatello, can you tell me which districts are your VRA districts?
Yeah, so they're 1, 3, 8, and 7.
Thank you.
Did you want to mention the partisan fairness metrics for this one?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to bring them up, John, you can. They're equivalent to, all of the maps have pretty much the same partisan fairness. I think maybe the Dove and the Finch are kind of a little out of our specs, but the rest are, yeah, Dove and the Finch both are above 4 efficiency gap, but the rest of them are all. So 4.0 lopsided margin, 1.0 mean median, 0.08 efficiency gap, and then a seats vote ratio of 22-16 with a 5% proportionality bias leaning in favor of Democrats.
Okay. Thank you. Anything to add about this map, commissioners? All right. Thank you, Commissioner Stella. Would anyone like to go next? If not, we can go back to the collaborative versions and look at Crane.
Okay, get that one here.
And Commissioner Villette, I believe you're going to be taking the lead on this one.
I am. I would like to go through the map by the redistricting criteria in the ranked order. So the first thing is Equal Population and Voting Rights Act. The population within the deviation that was allowed. Race was not looked at in the drawing of the map. The VRA analysis was performed after the map was drawn, and there are 4 VRA districts. The second criteria is geographically contiguous. Discontinuity check was performed, and there are no discontinuities. It reflects the state diversity and community of interest. So I'm going to go through the districts and talk about the communities of interest that we looked at in these districts and did our best to keep them together. District 1, downriver communities of River Rouge, Ecorse, and Lincoln Park were kept together. Hispanic community of were kept together, including Corktown and Mexican Town. The neighborhoods of up Midwest up to Bethune and over to Dexter Linwood. District 2, MENA COIs, including Dearborn Heights, Melvinvale, Dale, Allen Park, and all of Warren Avenue, most of Warrendale were kept together. District 3, Highland Park and Hamtramck, I can't even talk today. Highland Park and Hamtramck, including Bangletown, East Detroit, Cornerstone Village, East English Village, and Morningside, including the Gold Coast. Those were looked at, and we tried our best to keep those together. District 4 keeps the community of interest of Bellevue, Van Buren, and Sumter Townships, along with Huron. It keeps Romulus whole, with the area south of it, which was requested by the public comment, keeps many downriver communities together. District 5, Canton and Plymouth and Westland, also includes Garden City and Inkster together. District 5, Canton and Plymouth and I'm sorry, I already said that one. 6, District 6, West Detroit with Redford. It includes Brightmoor, Bagley, and Far West Detroit together. District 7, Southfield with Pontiac. We had heard some public comments about keeping that together. District 8 keeps Livonia whole, keeps Farmington with Farmington Hills together, Northville and some of Novi together. District 9 keeps the Chaladen COI together with Troy, west side of Sterling Heights, Rochester, and Rochester Hills together. District 10, Oak Park, Huntington Woods, and Pleasant Ridge, Ferndale, and Hazel Park together. District 12 preserves the Lake St. Clair Shoreline Sea Community of Interest. District 13 keeps Milford and Commerce Township and Walled Lake together, and District 23 keeps Highland and White Lake Township together. District 24 keeps most of Clinton Township and Shelby Township with Macomb Township, and that was originally in the north part of the district. So that completes the community of interest that we looked at when we did this map. The next criteria was no disproportionate advantage to any political party. And we did run a I can't say the word, a fairness number. And we didn't really talk about, the who was running or what party. So we did that without anything. Oh, I know Rebecca's got something to say. No favor or disfavor to any incumbent elected official or candidate. We didn't take any encumbrance or anybody running for office into account while we did this. And it reflects consideration of county, city, and township boundaries. Where it was possible, we tried to keep them together, but we did have to consider population and community of interest consideration. And it is reasonably compact, and we do have compactness scores. And that's it. If anybody's like to see any of those reports, I'm sure Mr. Morgan will pull them up. Does anybody
Yes.
have any questions?
John, are you changing 24 and 11? Yeah.
I just did, yeah.
Yeah,
24
that's
and
what I was
11.
that was what I was going to ask. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just that 24 and 11 had a similar color scheme. So here it separates them out. So you can see the division here in Clinton Township.
Commissioner E, do you have anything to add?
I think you did a wonderful job, Commissioner Velez.
Thank you.
You rock. And no, I don't. I think you hit just about everything on this one. Commissioner Stella?
I would add that it also preserves the Sikh community of interest in 9 between Troy and Rochester Hills, as well as the Chaldean community of interest from Troy and the west side of Sterling Heights.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move on to the next one, being Dove.
Okay, I just made some color changes here. Maybe that'll help. Yeah, okay, there we go.
All right, so this version that we have on screen is Dove. And I'll just go through the districts that are there. So let's start with 1. This one, again, is a downriver plus Detroit type of district. This District 1 includes Hamtramck, but not Highland Park. The District 2 has a similar configuration to some of the other District 2s that we've seen for that Arab American community of interest, including Dearborn Heights, Lincoln Park, Melvindale, and parts of Warrendale. The District 3 has Highland Park along with the west side of Detroit. I believe the districts 4 and 5 are the same as some of the other configurations. 4 has Taylor being whole, but splits up a little bit of Romulus into 4 and 5. And then in this one, instead of 5 going south into Van Buren Township, it stays a little north of that and goes north into the Plymouth area. 6 is a Livonia-centered districts that has Livonia, Redford, parts of Westland and Garden City, and parts of Farmington and Farmington Hills. I believe in this version, we tried to keep mostly 7 and 9 the same as how they were in the Linden map. You still have that 7 that connects Pontiac to Southfield, and the 9 that has Rochester, Troy, and the west side of Sterling Heights. You have 10 here that is a little bit of the northeast portion of Detroit going up into Warren, including Centerline and East Point. And I believe Harper Woods is in here as well.
Yes.
In District 10 in the Dove map. And then 11 and 12, you have an 11 that has the Grosse Points, St. Clair Shores, and then goes over to the remainder of the east side of Sterling Heights, including Fraser. And you have a 12 that is the northeast portion of that lakeside community, having Mount Pleasant and the rest of the areas surrounding Lake St. Clair. It does have 4 VRA districts, those districts being districts 1, 3, 7, and 10. For the partisan fairness, this one has a lopsided margins test of 6.2%, a median difference of 2.5%, an efficiency gap of 4.6%, and a seats to votes ratio of 20 to 18, minus 0.2% towards Democrats. Does anyone have anything to add about this version? Commissioner Zatella?
Yeah, my concern with this map is one you touched on is that 1, it splits Romulus, which we've received public comment asking not to be split. And then 2, Van Buren and Belleville, I believe it was the township supervisor for Van Buren came and spoke to us and asked that they be placed in with Huron and Sumter, not up with kind of Canton, Westland, Wayne. So this map does not honor that. And then it still has this, like I said, toes in Detroit configuration that I think is concerning. I think this is more justifiable than the Cardinal because it's like a little bit more balanced, but that does still worry me. Are we reaching, particularly with District 8, where we have Birmingham put together with the northern parts of Detroit? And that particularly is a concern because that was something the court flagged in their opinion about combining Birmingham with Detroit. So that kind of gives me some pause with this map.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else have anything to add? All right. Commissioner Lang.
I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it. The District 11 and 12, I kind of have an issue with changing that Lakeshore community of interest simply for the reason, pardon me, for the fact that during the House redrawing, they got split up and it was said in a meeting, well, you're still together in the Senate, so we're still, honoring that community of interest. So then if you split it up in the Senate, it's like we're going back on something we told them. I don't know. I'm about the public. And so when something's said to a community, I would hope that we would stick to what we say to that community. It tears me up not doing that. So that's it.
Commissioner Sotelo?
I'm sorry, I just forgot to drop my hands.
All good. Okay, thank you for your comments, commissioners. Next up is Finch.
Okay, let me just adjust this a little bit. Okay,
Okay. So Commissioner Andrade was supposed to present this one, but she had something come up. So I'll take the lead on it. If any other commissioner would like to say anything, please feel free to jump in. What we're looking at is Finch. I'll start by saying it does have 4 VRA districts, 1, 3, 8, and 7. As far as the districts go, we have 3 Detroit-centered districts here. This is one of the versions where the District 1 wraps around Dearborn. So you can see it goes from the downriver communities up around Dearborn, going into some of the west side of Detroit. It has a District 3 that includes the center portion of Detroit from the river up to the border of 8 Mile, but in a corridor type of configuration, including Highland Park and Hamtramck, and a District 8 that takes the east side of Detroit and has it go north up through East Point, Warren, and Centerline. The District 4, once again, this is one of the ones that has Taylor Hole, but Romulus split. The areas of Van Buren Township are, however, included with Sumter here. District 5 has Canton, Westland, Inkster, Plymouth Township, and Romulus. 6 has Livonia, along with Redford, south into Garden City, and west into Plymouth and Northville. 7 has some of the Oakland County suburbs, such as Southfield, Royal Oak, Oak Park, Royal Oak Township, Beverly Hills, and with a little bit of Detroit. I already talked about 8. 9 has a similar configuration to some of the 9s we've seen before, with Pontiac, Rochester Hills going southward into Birmingham. 10 has Sterling Heights, Troy, along with Madison Heights. 11 has a Macomb County district that includes Warren, Roseville, Fraser, and parts of Macomb. And 12 has the original District 12 configuration with Linden. And then 13 has that Farmington Hills configuration, being with West Bloomfield and the Lakes and Novi. And this one, I don't believe 23 and 24 were changed. And then for partisan fairness, we have 3.7% on the left side and margins test, 2.7% for mean median difference, 0.8% for efficiency gap, and a seats to votes ratio of 22 to 16, 5% towards the Democrats. And that's about all I got for this one. Commissioner Zatello?
Yep. I'm just going to raise kind of the same concerns I raised with Cardinal, because Cardinal and Finch are very, very, very similar. They have a lot of the same districts. So again, the concern is splitting Romulus in District 5. We were asked to keep that intact. Again, I have the same concern with District 6, how we have just a portion of West Detroit put in, stretching out all the way to Northville. I just don't see any common communities of interest there at all. And I just think it's really hard to justify from a mapping perspective. The Native American community of interest in Westland and Garden City is split. And then again, if we move up farther towards 9 and 7, so 9 is now configured to no longer have Pontiac with Southfield, which was something that they requested to stay together. And then also 9 now contains Rochester Hills, which is separated from Troy, which splits that Sikh, Asian, Pacific Islander community of interest. District 10 does a good job of preserving the Chaldean community, but again, I just think that reach into Madison Heights is a little hard to justify, particularly when we received a lot of public comments asking for Clawson, not Madison Heights. And then again, my just concern is with the toes into Detroit configuration with 7 and 8, particularly 8, where it's just stretching all the way down to the river. Just my concern is will that be objectionable to the court when we have the same kind of stretching configuration when there are other options available?
All right. Heron is next.
Okay,
And just for the record, I think every district that we've drawn in all of the maps, all 12 versions that we have are justifiable. We might have different opinions on what those justifications are, and that's okay. We can agree to disagree, but every district is justifiable. Just depends what you look at, but we'll debate that at a later time. We have Heron now. Commissioner Callahan, think you're going to be taking the lead on this? And I do not see her on. And that is not a problem. Would any commissioner like to talk about Heron? Not, I'll do so. So right now we're looking at Heron. Now, I believe this was one of the versions where we started with a different configuration of Detroit and tried to stack some of the districts on top of each other. So you have a little bit of a different configuration in one here, including downriver up to the east side, and this one goes a little bit north on the east side as well to take up some of the northeast portions of Detroit. On the south end, if you can zoom in on the south end, John. So it includes the downriver communities down through E-Course. It doesn't quite go as far south into Wyandotte, but instead goes a little bit more westward to include Melvindale and parts of Lincoln Park. District 8 is right on top of it, having the what I will call the middle portion of Detroit here, including Highland Park and Hamtramck, going pretty much up to the 8-mile border. You have a District 6 that includes Livonia, Redford, up into the west portion of Detroit. District 2 is a little bit of a different configuration. It has Dearborn and Dearborn Heights, and Warrendale being with Inkster, Garden City, and Westland. Can you go to 4 and 5? So 4 and 5 look a little different than some of the other maps that we've seen as well. You can see that they look a little bit more, I don't know, like boxed, if you will, but 4 goes a little bit more south, taking in the rest of those downriver communities and including Taylor, while 5 starts at Canton and Westland and goes south to incorporate Van Buren, Romulus here being whole and going south from there. 7 on this map includes Pontiac, a little bit of Waterford, and then it goes east into Auburn Hills, Rochester, and a little eastward into Sterling Heights. I already spoke about 8. 9 has a configuration that includes, it starts south of Pontiac and includes some of the Oakland County suburbs from Birmingham going south into Royal Oak and Ferndale. 10 includes Warren and the remainder of Sterling Heights that's not in 7, as well as Centerline. 11 has another Macomb County centered district, including Fraser and East Point, but does not cross 8 Mile. And 12 includes the original 12 that was in Linden. Added to it are 2 Detroit neighborhoods. to make up for Mount Mount Clemens that is instead in 11 here. It does have 4 VRA districts like all of the other ones. In this one, they are 1, 8, 6, and 3. For the partisan fairness, we have 3.8% for the lopsided margins test. (0.3% for mean median difference, 0.8% for efficiency gap, and a seats to votes ratio of 22 to 16, 5% towards the Democrats. Think that about does it for Heron. Any comments? Commissioner Zatello?
Yeah, my biggest concern with this map is that District 11. John, can you pull up the core retention for this map? So for that District 11, I believe it's 90 something percent the same. Trying to find it on your list. Oh, so it's based off the Hummingbird. So the Hummingbird is 91.2, but I'm pretty sure that's the same District 11. Yeah, I just think from a potential submitting this to a court perspective, I just think that is concerning. I think the Livonia district as well. I know it has a 65% core retention, but I'd really be curious, and I'll probably actually try to do this on my own to analyze what percentage of Detroit is still in that Detroit Livonia district. If we can go back to the map, please. So I have a number of concerns about just combining communities together that I just don't think belong together, and then not combining communities that I think should be together. For example, Melvindale has repeatedly been asked to be put with Dearborn, yet it is not in this map. Inkster and Dearborn Heights and Dearborn, I don't particularly think are well suited to each other. This also splits the Native American community of interest in Westland and Garden City. I think putting Canton down with an Ohio bordering district doesn't make much sense at all, and isn't respecting either the Middle Eastern community or the Asian Pacific Islander community in Canton. It's really kind of diluting out their voice by putting them down with very, very rural, very different communities than what Canton is like. Can we scroll up a little bit? The LGBTQ community of interest along 8 and 9 is in a separate district, which I think is concerning. I also, can we go back down to the bottom of Dearborn Heights, please, in District 2? Yeah, I mentioned before splitting off that area of Dearborn Heights and putting it in with Downriver is really problematic from a community of interest perspective, just because of the flooding issues they have there along the Ecorse Creek. They really should be with the rest of Dearborn and Dearborn Heights, because they are the communities that have those kind of concerns, and that's really unique to that area. I'm concerned about up near Troy and Sterling Heights. We have the Chaldean community of interest is actually split into 3 different districts in this map. So we have Troy is split into 2, and then Western Sterling Heights is broken into 2. So it actually takes the Chaldean community and puts them in 3 separate districts, and completely reduces that power of their voice that they have when they're together. And then I'm also concerned about Pontiac being separated from Southfield, because again, they had asked to be combined together and kept together like they were in the Linden. And then lastly, the split of Rochester Hills and Troy, because we're splitting that Sikh community as well. And that's pretty much it. But yeah, I just think in terms of communities of interest, we have other maps that do a better job with the communities of interest and don't raise that concern about District 11 and potentially having that bounced back to us by the court.
Did you say something about Ohio? Or did I mishear?
But it looks like it does not. It just goes down to Sumter.
Yeah, I think they border Monroe.
Yeah, Monroe.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Commissioner Muldoon. Are you here with us right now?
Yep,
Cool. Do you want to talk about Starling?
sure. B3.
Yep.
All right, I'll bring that up here. And then let me take a moment just to change the coloration on the districts that look similar. Okay.
So in this one, BRA has 4 performing districts, 1, 3, 7, and 10. Keeps Belleville, Sumter, all in one district, as we had some public comments. Dearborn, Melvindale, and Allen Park and Warrendale are all kept together in one district. We moved Fraser out of 12 into 11 with Sterling Heights, and kept the Lakeshore community pretty much all intact and together like it was prior. It has Taylor split a little bit to keep the population in spec. And Hamtramck and Highland Park are kept together in District 3. And I think that's about all I can say to it.
Yeah, so District 9 also has a similar configuration to what we've seen before with Pontiac, Rochester Hills, going down south into Birmingham. 13 has a similar configuration with Farmington Hills being with West Bloomfield and the Lakes and Novi. Let's see. 12 is mostly the same Lakeshore community, but it is a little bit different. It has Roseville, so that Fraser is now in 11 and has the east side of Sterling Heights. 8 has Troy, the west side of Sterling Heights, going a little bit more south into Madison Heights, like some of the other maps, and then also, in addition, a little bit of Royal Oak. And then 7 has the remainder of those Oakland County suburban townships going a little bit south of the border into Detroit. As Commissioner Muldoon says, this one does have 4 VRA districts, 1, 3, 7, and 10. And for the partisan fairness metrics, this has a lopsided margin test of 5%, a mean median difference of 1.3%, an efficiency gap of 1.9%, and a seats to votes ratio of 21 to 17, 2.4% in favor of the Democrats. And I don't believe this one changed 23 or 24. You know what? Actually, 24 might have changed a little bit in Macomb Township, just adding on a little bit of Macomb Township on the upper portion of 11. Any comments to add, commissioners? Okay, that does it for the collaborative maps. Those are the ones with the bird names. For the individual maps, Commissioners Lang and Zatella have already spoken about their maps. Commissioner Orton, would you like to speak about yours?
Sorry, this is John Morgan. So it looks like there are 4 individual maps that are still here. You mentioned Commissioner Orton, Commissioner Kellum, Commissioner Wagner, and Commissioner Curry's maps.
Sounds right to me.
So if you can open mine, John.
Okay.
Okay, so going through the criteria, I'll just say we can see that it's within the population deviation. And race was not considered in the drawing of this map, had no race or political data up. After the VRA analysis was performed after the drawing of the map, and there are 4 VRA districts. I'll let you change the color and then I'll show.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So 1, 3, 6, and 7. And I believe, Mr. Morgan, that you ran a discontiguity check on all the maps. So there's no discontiguities in the map. Is that correct?
On this map, no discontiguities. That's right.
Okay, thank you. And then number 3, reflecting the state's diversity and communities of interest. So I'll just kind of go through district by district. So in District 1, I'll say that this map started off of Crane, and then I just changed a few things. So District 1 has the Hispanic community of interest. It includes Corktown and Mexican Town. It also includes River Rouge, Ecorse, and Lincoln Park. And then Southgate is in there as well for population. It also goes up and includes the communities of Midwest, Bethune, and Dexter Linwood. And I've followed with the neighborhood map on so that I believe I did not split up any neighborhoods. District 2 has the MENA community of interest, including Dearborn Heights, Melvindale, Allen Park, Warren Avenue, and most of Warrendale. And District 3 is a Detroit district with Highland Park and Hamtramck, includes Banglatown, and East Detroit keeps Cornerstone Village, East English Village, and Morningside together, and includes Gold Coast. And District 4, it keeps the community of interest of Bellevue, Van Buren, and Sumter Townships together, along with Huron. And it keeps Romulus whole with the area south of it, which was requested in public comment. And it keeps many of the downriver communities together. And District 5 in this map, Canton is with Plymouth and Westland and includes Garden City and Inkster. And District 6 is West Detroit with Redford. It includes Brightmoor and Bagley and Barton McFarland, I believe. And District 7 is, I tried to kind of keep the 7 that was originally there. So it's Southfield with Pontiac, which they have requested as a community of interest. District 8 is Oak Park, Huntington Woods, Pleasant Ridge, and it also includes Ferndale and Hazel Park. And District 9, it keeps the Chaldean community of interest together with Troy, west side of Sterling Heights, Rochester Hills. And District 10, it's the bottom of what was the long skinny 10 and 11 side by side. So this is the bottom portion. Includes East Point with Roseville, Fraser, and the east side of Warren, and part of Clinton Township, and the remainder of Sterling Heights. District 11 is the top of what used to be those two districts, 10 and 11. So it's the top part of Clinton Township with Macomb Township and most of Shelby Township. District 12 preserves the Lake St. Clair Lakeshore community of interest. And District 13, it keeps Livonia whole, keeps Farmington with Farmington Hills, includes Northville with part of Novi. Couldn't keep it all for population, but and then I did have to change 23 and 24 a little. So White Lake is with Waterford and everything above it, like it previously was in 24. And 23 is Milford is with Highland and Lyon Township, Commerce, Wixom, Walled Lake. So then for the next criteria, no disproportionate advantage to any political party. So the partisan fairness numbers are, let's see, lopsided margins is.
Sorry.
Oh, are you going to get that?
Yeah. I can pull that up.
Okay, great. I'll let you go through that then.
Okay, let me just double check that. It is 393. Okay, so the lopsided margin 5.1 for Republican. The mean median difference is 3.4 for Republican. The efficiency gap is 1.9 Republican. And the seats vote ratio is it's going to be the same 17 and 21.
Yeah, I can tell you is it'll show.
There, no, I got it. The formulas were just disabled. I did the editing. So it's 21, 17, 2.4 towards Democrats.
Right. Okay, thank you. All right, and then it does not favor or disfavor an incumbent elected official or candidate. Didn't look at any of that while drawing this map. Reflect consideration of county, city, and township boundaries. I did that where I could, where it didn't conflict with population or communities of interest. And it's reasonably compact. We can show compactness scores if people want to see those. And that's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Could you go over again the differences between this and Crane? When I was looking at them side by side, I was having a little bit of trouble.
Okay.
I saw District 8, but
Yeah, that Commissioner Reed, that's the main difference, as I recall, is that 8 is over on this side, and in the Crane, 8 is over on this side.
We can overlay the Crane
Yeah.
if you like.
Yeah, let's try that.
Just a second here. Yeah.
Okay, that helps.
Yeah, let me just put the labels on.
So like I said, I start out with Crane. There were a couple things I wanted to try to change, and I just, changed a few little things here and there. That I, in trying to do something bigger, it turned out being just a few little things here and there mostly.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Okay. That brings us to,
Commissioner Eid, I had my hand raised.
oh, go ahead, Commissioner Stella.
John, can you put that back on, please? The overlay. Yeah, so Commissioner Orton, I thought kind of the biggest changes you made in this were as you adjusted 13, where you took out a little part of 5 and then took part of Novi. That caused you to bump up into Highland, then had to push into 24. And you kind of went around like you were going around a clock. So there were a few changes up in those higher districts as you were adjusting for population.
Right.
I just wanted to point that out because it wasn't just the area around 8 and 10 and 9. There was also some changes to 23, 13, 24, and I think even 25 at the top might have had an adjustment as well. So, but Highland got moved from 23 into 24. That portion of Oakland got moved into 23, and then portion of Novi got moved into 13. So there were just little adjustments along the way.
I don't think I touched 25.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
All righty. Commissioner Kellum, would you like to talk about your map?
Sure.
Okay, I'll bring that map up. And then let me make adjustments to the color theme. Okay, Commissioner Collin, this is the map.
Yep.
Thank you, John. So I'll start by saying that this map is not a map that I spent time drawing on my own. This map is the Phoenix map that I chose to adopt as an individual map so that members of the public could weigh in like any other map on what they like, what they don't like, and what seems fair as it pertains to their communities and neighborhoods, particularly the Metro Detroit area. And so I'll say the approach for this map when the commission, and we've talked about it several times, but I'm doing my due diligence as we're supposed to do today. The approach for this map was to create a different configuration for the Detroit area and not just keep neighborhoods and communities whole, as we've tried to do largely in all areas, but particularly as we get to this kind of urban epicenter. The approach to this map was a little different. We wanted to keep neighborhoods together, but we wanted to keep communities and neighborhoods together in a way that made sense geographically. So on some other maps, just using this as an example, if we look at District 8, which is one of the VRA districts as well, District 8 spans east-west, does not really cross 8 Mile, not because we think 8 Mile can't be crossed, but if we reflect back to some of the comments that were made during the House public hearings and town halls, there were some individuals, quite a few, and we brought understanding to that, but they made comments regarding not wanting to cross 8 Mile. So District 8 goes east and west as opposed to going deep west, deep east, including the Northwest and going downtown. And it's not so much because a district like that can't work, but it was a strategic choice to keep communities in that area closer together. So it's more cohesive when we think about what those communities has in common. So there's a layer of depth that this map has between districts 1, 2, 6, and 8, and even 3. There is some splitting that happens, like all other maps. That's something that we're kind of used to where we sacrifice, but I think that happens strategically. So 1, we have Lincoln Park, Allen Park, Ecorse, River Rouge, the downtown area together, and the east side of Detroit up into Alter Road. So Alter Road, even though it's been spoken about as not a dividing line, if you were to go down Kercheval, you'll cross Alter Road. There's even a bar that says last stop, and historically there were huge flower points that blocked. In order for those communities to have interaction, you would have to go around. So I'm just describing that in terms of communities of interest, not to say that those communities still have that tension there, but that's a geographical marker. That's why Alter Road sometimes is referred to as a boundary by that community, or in an area that literally, if you stand on one side, you're on Grosse Pointe, the other side, you are on the east side of Detroit, and definitely have different economic experiences in the area. So on the far east side of that district is Morass Moraine, Yorkshire, Morningside again, a lot of the districts, or a lot of the neighborhoods that we've heard about before. We, can you zoom in a little bit, John, to District 1? Okay, and then we have the Gold Coast along Jefferson, where the waterway is, the Riverwalk is, Belle Isle is accessible there. We have Grand Boulevard in that area. We have pieces of Midtown. I think I already said the entertainment district. And thank you, John. We have Cass Avenue. We also have a bit of, my brain just froze. I know, yeah, that's the area that I was about to just.
This is Midwest.
Thank you. The Midwest territory. And then we observed, there was some discussion in the Boston Edison district about keeping that area kind of more central. So I think Detroit, public comments from Detroit do a good job of saying keeping communities together, but I think they're also describing this tight-knit quality where they want to be near neighborhoods that make sense. District 8, we chose not to sweep Highland Park and Hamtramck into like a downtown district. It's more fitting to be in the like northwest side of Detroit, more nestled into central Detroit, just so that those communities, if we're talking about representation, they can more easily be heard instead of being swept into other communities where the Banglatown, the Bengali community, other immigrant communities in that area in the municipality of Highland Park could be eaten up by the lack of representation. 6, we have, can you, yep, thank you. Zoom in a little. And I actually want to use a neighborhood overlay just for this area, and then we can take it off. So we have Redford, we have Livonia. We have the Schoolcraft Southfield neighborhood, Rosedale, North Rosedale, the Grandmont neighborhood. This is all in District 6. This is another VRA compliant district. Let me see if I want to say anything about this. No, we can go to District 2, just below District 6. We have Melvindale, Dearborn, Inkster, Garden City, Dearborn Heights, and pieces of the Warren Avenue, Far West Detroit neighborhood, because that is in proximity to Warrendale, Warren Ave community, the MENA community, and Arab and Arab American COIs have spoken proudly and in depth about this community, of course, wanting both Warrendale, Melvindale, and I think Allen Park. I always confuse that, but I think I got it right that time. Wanting to be together, but of course, for population, we started to ask more poignant questions about if there was a choice, where would it make sense to have those communities included? And we got some responses that echoed actually what we heard during the House districts being drawn, which is to have Melvindale in District 2. And so that's what this district does. District 2 is not VRA compliant. We just have 1, 6, 8, and 3. When I say VRA compliant, it's not a VRA district. Let me be specific with my words. And let's go to 3, John, if you will. Okay, 3 has Southfield, Farmington Hills, Farmington together. It also includes Oak Park and a piece of the western part of Detroit, which is 5 Points, Berg Losser, Evergreen Losser neighborhood, College Park, which is indeed separate in the way of community from the northwest areas of 8. So it was fine to go into 3 and appropriate, not to say that any other maps are inappropriate by my use of appropriate, but appropriate crossing of 8 Mile. Just like I said before, this is not a map to say we should not cross 8 Mile, but we were focused on keeping communities tight and relatable when we were drawing the districts and keeping their interests in mind. What else do I want to say about this? We have District 11 that is not exactly the same as in our original district. It has East Point, Roseville, Fraser, Sterling Heights, a little bit of Clinton Township, I believe. And can you zoom in? I want to make sure I'm not misspeaking. Yeah, okay. District 12 is largely the same. We made some adjustments. Thank you. I'll go slower. So it has Grosse Pointe, all the points, Harper Woods, St. Clair Shores, and then travels up north. We have some communities that are kept together in 9 that expressed wanting to be together. 7, instead of having Southfield with Pontiac, we have Waterford, Pontiac, little piece of Southfield, Birmingham, Bloomfield Hills. And 13, we have Novi, Northville, Plymouth, Walled Lake, piece of Commerce Township, or Commerce, and Orchard Lake Village. Let me make sure I've said everything that I want to say. I think so. I mean, because this was previously a collaborative map, it has experienced both the good, bad, and the ugly with the commission and all sorts of opinions. So I'm sure there will be things reiterated for the record. But again, I'm just describing the map, not necessarily a court case. We will have a spirited debate about what folks like and don't like, of course, based upon public opinion, now that we have this map available for the public to engage with. And that was the primary point, again, emphasizing that the purpose of this map was to make tighter communities of interest. It's not in the Detroit area just about keeping communities of interest together. It's about how you do so that becomes important. So this is the Kellum map, previously known as the Phoenix, and was drawn collaboratively and was adopted by myself so that members of the public could see this map. I don't think I have anything else to say, Anthony. I don't think Commissioner Callahan is on, but if you had anything that you wanted to add, since myself, you, and Commissioner Callahan drew heavily on this towards the end of the deadline, feel free.
Thank you. About covered it. I can go over the partisan fairness real quick.
Sure, I need some water, so that'll be great.
So this one is a mean median difference of 3.8%. I'm sorry, start that over. A lopsided margins advantage of 3.8%, a mean median difference of 1.5%, an efficiency gap of 0.8%, and a seats to votes ratio of 22 to 16, 5% towards the Dems. And I think, did you mention 23 and 24? I believe a few of those districts that cover the areas north of 7 and 9 changed, but I think you got everything else. Commissioner Lang.
Just a quick question. Was this one done in the last meeting? Was that when this one was drawn? This one doesn't look familiar to me, so I don't know. I may have missed it, but I did have to leave that meeting early, so I'm just inquiring on when this one was done.
Yeah, this was done. This was finished that Tuesday morning, and then got sent off for VRA analysis before lunch. So it was the last one that was worked on collaboratively.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Wagner.
Hello, Chair. Hello, Michigan. I am ready, I guess.
All right, I'll bring up Commissioner Wagner's plan. And 1 second. here.
All right, originally I worked on Mr. Scannell's map. And I believe, didn't we pull my version 2, John, to make version 3?
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Then if you could focus on District 9. First, this has 4 VRA districts.
Yeah, let me just change the colors on a couple districts.
No problem, John. 1, 3, 7, and 8.
Okay, you wanted District 9.
Focus, yeah. Because we took District 9 out of Oakland and we added Utica and a percentage of Royal Oak to balance the population. The rest of Royal Oak, I put in 10. Excuse me. All of Hazel Park from 10 into 7. My goal here was to make Detroit whole any way I could. Well, I don't say any way I could. Legally, any way I could. All of Hazel Park from 10 into 7, and 7 takes the rest of Detroit from 6. 6 takes Garden City into 5. District 5 takes more of Taylor, and District 4 takes Allen Park. Balanced 1, 2, and 7 in Detroit near Greenfield and Schoolcraft. And then if you want to go over the matrix of partisan fairness and all that.
Okay.
I've got 5.2 for the partisan fairness.
Okay, so that's right. The lopsided margin 5.2 for Republican.
Right.
The mean median difference 3.4 for Republican. The efficiency gap 1.9 Republican, and the seats vote 21-17, 2.4 biased Democrats.
We didn't pull up any VRA, any neighborhood racial anything for this. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wagner. Next up is Commissioner Curry's map. Commissioner Curry is not with us today. I would invite any commissioner who wants to speak on this layout. Just to give a quick overview, it is her individual map, but I think we can give an overview on what we're seeing here as far as the districts are configured. Would anyone like to speak to it? Commissioner Zatello.
I think I can try to speak to it. John, is it possible to put the Linden overlay on this? Because I know she tried to preserve quite a few of the Linden districts, and I think it might be helpful.
Yeah, that's correct. She started and erased the districts that had to be changed. So in some cases, if a district did not need to be changed, it was left alone. All right, let me add that.
And just to confirm, you actually assisted her in drawing this map, did you not?
Yes, we scheduled time and she directed me how to draw the map.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the dark blue lines are the Linden map. So I think as an example, District 5 is exactly the same. That's a clear indication.
Yeah, so, and I think 13 is exactly the same too, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so my understanding from what Commissioner Curry has spoken about this map before is that she followed the philosophy of deleting out only the districts that needed to be changed, which was, I believe, 3, 6, 8, 10,
11.
11, and which was the other one?
1.
1. So she deleted out those maps and redrew them. In redrawing the Detroit area, she used her 70 plus years of experience living in the Detroit area to kind of draw maps based around the communities of interest that she thought existed in Detroit and created these Detroit centric districts. Her District 1 is a little different from some of the other maps in that it includes Southgate with Detroit, which is something she felt strongly that those communities are contiguous and should be together. And then 6 kind of wraps around the tip of 1 and includes Redford and with Detroit. And then 3 has the remainder of Detroit. So they really are kept within Detroit. She didn't make many changes to District 2. She mostly preserved that, keeping that Middle Eastern community together with part of Taylor. And then for District 8, because 6 had been changed, she kind of wrapped District 8 around what was left after the change of 6. Rather than having District 7 include Southfield, she now has District 7 including Royal Oak, Berkeley, and Clawson. And then 10 and 11, she basically filled into the space that was left. I believe 9 is pretty much the same as what it was in Linden.
I believe that's correct.
Okay, and then 12 is still the same as what was in the Linden. So she basically just was reallocating the space to draw the districts differently. So there's a lot of similarities to the Linden. A lot of the districts that were outside of the primary area are unchanged. And then she has these 3 core Detroit districts, which are really focused on just staying within Detroit for the most part, except for that portion of Redford and the portion of Ecorse, River Rouge, Lincoln Park, and Southgate that are in 1. Is it possible to look at and I know it does have 4 VRA compliant districts. And then we can look at the partisan fairness as well.
Okay.
Actually, am I right that it has 4? I thought it had 4. I don't
know. I have to.
I'm showing 3, but
Okay.
let's double check.
Yeah, as drawn, it has 3.
Okay, thank you. So 1, 3, and 6.
And we can look at the underlying data as well. One moment. Okay, so 1, 3, and 6. And then 8 as drawn. Let's see. Yeah, so 8 as drawn is 50% estimated Black turnout to 46%, and it's a tie on the Black and white estimated turnout in the primaries. So that's one that it's right on the edge. So looking at the data, you can see District 8 is that way.
Okay, that's interesting.
So yeah, this is that's District 8 there.
Okay, and can we look at the partisan fairness?
Okay, so the partisan fairness, the lopsided margins 5.1 for Republican, the mean median difference 3.3 Republican, The efficiency gap, 1.9 Republican, and the seats vote is 21 Democrat, 17 Republican, 2.4 bias towards Democrat.
All right.
All right. Well, that is all 12 maps. Thank you, commissioners. And I hope the public learned something from that. I'll just state once again that at no point during this process did the commission look at race while drawing the maps in compliance with the court order. We will now move to public comment and a Q&A session with folks that are here. I will say this is not a business meeting of the commission. This is a town hall to get feedback on the 12 maps that we have. So if you could please keep your comments to issues regarding the maps, feedback, questions, answers, I would very much appreciate it. So without objection, we'll begin the public comment, question answer portion of our meeting. Is there any objection, commissioners? Seeing none, we'll proceed. Individuals who have signed up or raised their hand in the participant chat here that we have over Zoom and would like to provide live remote public commentary will now be allowed. I'll call you by your name and our staff will unmute you. If you're on a computer, you'll be prompted by the Zoom app to unmute your microphone and speak. If you are joining us via phone, a voice will say the host wants you to speak and prompt you to press *6 to unmute. I will call you by your name. Also, please note if you are experiencing technical or audio issues or we do not hear from you for 3 to 5 seconds, we will move on to the next person in line and return to you when they are done speaking. And if your audio still does not work, please reach out to us at redistricting@michigan.gov and we will help you troubleshoot so you can participate during the next town hall. You'll have 90 seconds to address the commission today, and please conclude your remarks when you hear the timer. We will try to, if you have a question, we'll try to answer those questions, especially if they're pertaining to the maps or the different configurations, why they were drawn the way they are. If you want to bring one up and look at it, we can do all of that today. First up, we have Mr. James Gallant.
Hello, can you hear me now?
We can, Mr. Gallant. Good morning.
Well, thank you very much. This is James Gallant, Marquette. These are opinions. Point of order, please, Mr. Chair, concerning the Robert's Rules of Order and concerning the unanimous consent rule that you just invoked. Our collective reality as a state, the entire state of Michigan, is that Chairman E denied Juanita objection to consideration of your paychecks. And then you denied Andrade her objection to a recess. And then
Mr. Gallant, Mr.
Gallant, point of order,
hold on.
facilitating.
Hold on, Mr. Gallant. Like I said earlier, today is a town hall. It is not a regular business meeting. I do really like hearing your comments. I take notes on them and I appreciate you bringing up the issues that you bring up. I really do. But today we're here talking about the maps. Do you have anything you'd like to say about the maps today?
Yes, did you cut me off, sir? You start me back over, please? Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, our collective reality as a state of Michigan is that Chairman E denied Juanita's objection to consideration of your paychecks. And you then denied Andrade her objection to a recess. And Zatella's, you denied her point of order under the facilitation rules when page 49, Robert's Rules of Order says, quote, if any member objects, the chair must state the question in the usual manner, unquote. And, quote, unanimous consent does not imply that every member is in favor. It may mean the opposition feeling it's useless to oppose, unquote, aka bullying. And it does not fulfill the requirement that some business items that you are using unanimous consent for are required under the Constitution and the rules to be approved by a majority vote.
Thank you, Mr. Gallant. We'll move on to the next public commenter, Mr. Scannell.
Thank you. Good morning, Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission. And my main issue is, well, let's say if I had a thing I wanted the most, I would say keep Downriver together. That's the community of interest, I feel strongly associated with, but that's not really possible in any of the map types, and it hasn't been done. I'm not even asking for that, because I don't think it could be done in the area that it has to be, but that would be like my number one want. So anything I could do towards that would be, my preference. But then I'm looking at, okay, that can't be done, but there are parts of it that have to get split up, and that's okay. But I'm looking at just the District 1. That's my, I guess, secondary concern. I'll call it secondary concern, District 1. And I just, I don't like this configuration that includes the northern downriver cities with all the way to the east side of Detroit. I think the downtown Detroit is a bit of a physical barrier in that area. And, the communities might even be alike on the two extremes of that configuration for District 1, but there's not really any association between them on either end of it. So that's why if I was to choose any map, to prefer, I just alone off that District 1 configuration, I'd say Crane and Finch come close, and Curry, Lang, and somewhat Wagner maps. Those are okay in my book for District 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scannell. Those kind of comments really help when you say, which version you like best and why. So thank you for that comment. We look forward to hearing from you in the future. Next up is Marianne Fontana. Do we have Marianne with us today?
We do. Marianne, can you please unmute yourself?
Can you hear me now?
We can. Good afternoon.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. Hi. So first of all, I really appreciate the going through the different maps. I wasn't expecting it this morning though, so unfortunately, I'm driving to an appointment that I can't miss. So I'm not really prepared to make much comments, but there is a question that I have kind of generally, if maybe you can answer it, because I guess my biggest concern with the redrawing of the, state Senate district is the partisanship. And I know that there's the 4 different factors that you look at, but I really don't understand like how you weigh each of them. And, if there's one that we were going to look at, of all those 4 areas about partisan fairness, how could you explain to me like what would make the most sense? Because I have to believe that even though it's been stated in the 12 maps, that they're all within the same range, a couple of them maybe are a little bit outside of the range. Like, is there any particular number that makes the most sense to look at?
So, as you noted, I think our partisan fairness expert has given kind of the green light to all of the 12 configurations that we've put out so far. They do vary a little bit within that range, but I think they're all right and being considered as partisanly fair. She did also tell us that the two measures we might want to look at most are the efficiency gap and the mean median difference. She had said that those are two of the four factors that we should focus on. Now, I know you're driving, so don't take time to stop now. But if you go to our website, www.michigan.gov/MICRC, right on the front page, you can click, you'll see when you visit it, it's very large, 2024 draft proposed Senate maps. And there you can see the partisan fairness analysis on all 12 maps. So when you arrive to where you're going, I invite you to check out the website and look at those metrics for the maps you're interested in and go from there.
Okay, just if, I don't know if my time's up anyhow, but I feel like one of the sessions that I listened to, because I haven't been able to follow most of these when they're actually going on live, but I've gone back to listen to some of the, recordings. And one of the things that I believe somebody said about the lopsided margins is that the lower that number, the better. Is that something that I did hear, or is that incorrect? Or
well, for all of the metrics, closer to zero is considered more fair. However, like I started, we did get the green light on all of the maps overall being okay and within a deviation. Now, some are a little closer to zero. That's something we can weigh, but all of those metrics are available on the website.
Okay, well, thank you. And I'll look more carefully at the maps, and then I can comment later about which ones or one that I prefer. But thanks a lot.
Sure. Did that answer your question? I want to make sure that I actually answered.
Yeah. I mean, it gives me a better idea. I understand that all these different areas and how you're trying to keep certain communities together. And but like I said, I'm also, the partisan fairness issue to me becomes kind of the most important, because I feel that in spite of keeping certain areas together, when we end up with such a lopsided legislature, because of just the way our state is, our population exists in our state, then there's a lot of interests that never get considered, that never even get allowed on the floor of the legislature, if you have such an overwhelming majority, one way or the other. And I know you're not supposed to look at the partisan part of it, as far as, the parties, et cetera, but that seems to be, in my opinion, what's happened in this state for a long time. And I finally feel that, we're getting a little more equity and as far as what's been happening. And I would like it to stay that way. And that's where, what I'm really trying to focus on. And I know a lot of people that share my opinion. So that's it. But thanks so much.
Thank you. I believe we have Commissioner Orton has her hand raised as well. She might have something for you.
Yeah, so I was thinking, Marianne, it might be helpful for you to go back and listen to the partisan fairness presentation that Lisa Hanley gave us a couple weeks ago. Maybe someone can get the date of that meeting. But anyway, she explained each of the measures and how they work together. And that's where she said that if you're going to pay attention to, which ones you think are the most important, it could be those two. Anyway, that might be helpful to help clear up your question.
Thank you so much.
And that meeting took place on May 16th. If you want to give it a listen, I think that's a good idea. Okay. Next up to speak is Chris Andrews.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is Chris Andrews from Hazlet. And I wanted to speak a little bit to what the previous speaker was saying. And in drawing the Southeast Michigan districts, you are really drawing a new statewide map. And so for somebody who doesn't live in that district, or in one of those districts, I'm still affected by this new statewide map. And for 40 years, access to abortion has only been restricted. There's been no chance of raising the minimum wage. A working mom could never get a blanket right to absentee vote absentee the way that older people like I can. Laws could not be passed to address access to guns. Gay rights could only be restricted. And that's because for 40 years, only one party controlled the Senate. And regardless of any political wins, that was the reality. And so as commissioners, you are our protectors of democracy, and you will decide whether the will of the people is reflected in our elections and in governing. The Heron map re-empowers Black voters as it should. I think that communities of interest are being addressed in all of these maps in honest ways where there's a lot of conflicting priorities. And I just hope that you will take this opportunity to build maps that are perfectly fair. And you've found a way to do that with Heron. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews. We appreciate your comments. That is everyone who signed up in advance to give public comments. I do see a few attendees here in my attendees list. I don't know if any of you folks would like to speak who haven't spoken already. I see Steve Walker or Mary Jo. If you would like to say something, feel free to raise your hand using the little button on the Zoom. But if not, that's okay too. Okay, I do not see anybody else who wants to provide comments. We are scheduled to go until 1. So how about we take a little bit of a break until, let's say, 12:40, and we'll see if any more people come by. And if they do, as long as they're here before 1, we'll hear from them. We'll be back, folks. Well, everyone, I still do not see anyone new. Suppose we'll give it a few more minutes. We will be back here from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And we will again go over the different mapping proposals as we did earlier, and hopefully hear from some people virtually. I'm sorry, we're ending at 7:30, not 8 p.m. My mistake. And I'll also plug real quick our next set of in-person public hearings taking place on June 11th, 12th, and 13th. On June 11th, we'll be at Cass Tech High School. On June 12th, we'll be at Martin Luther King High School. And on June 13th, we'll be at Renaissance High School. And the commission will be there all day from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. to receive this public feedback about our draft proposals. Mr. Morgan?
Yeah, I just wanted to see, is the procedure the same for the evening session? You'll review the maps again?
Yes, I believe that's the plan.
Okay. Since we went through them the first time, now we are all familiar with them, so it should go smooth.
Here's open.
All right.
And we're also going to do one more virtual town hall in the same style that we're doing today on June 6th, a week from tomorrow. All right, we're still not seeing anybody. Are there any acknowledgements or announcements? Commissioner Orton?
Yeah, I would just like to thank Mr. Morgan for making everything run so smoothly and showing the public all the maps. It's great.
Thank you.
Anything else, commissioners? Mr. Woods, do you have anything for the group?
No, thank you, Commissioner Eid. As we get to the finish line of 1 o'clock, I appreciate the opportunity to offer something to contribute, but just want to reiterate, if a commissioner is not able to make it, if you would like someone else to present your map, to reach out and contact me so I can make that connection. Just in case someone's not able to come tonight, just reach out and connect with me so I can make that connection. So that the maps can be presented again this evening. Thank you so much.
Well, all right, folks, that brings us to 1 p.m. And seeing that we do not have anybody else here, we'll end it for this morning and be back this evening. Once again, it's 5 p.m. until 7:30. We will go over the maps once again and hopefully have some comments about those maps. Thank you, everyone.